Hi. We're here for part 2 of my Doctor Who Season 12 review. Let's get into it. So, it has already been about a month since I filmed and posted my last Doctor Who review video, which feels insane. But here's part 2, where I discuss episodes 6 through 10. I don't know why that took me so long. I'm going to try and keep the outfit consistent, but I am filming this video a couple of different days. I'm going to be filming the Praxeus review, the Haunting of Villa Diodati review, and also the Can You Hear Me review today, just so that the editing load is kind of less difficult and I can really get this video out once it's completed. And then I will be reviewing the 2-part finale another time, so...
A missing submarine, a dead naval officer off the coast of Madagascar, birds going haywire in Peru.
Praxeus, I don't have a lot to say about. I thought overall it was a pretty average episode. It certainly wasn't anything spectacular, and I mean, yeah, it was just kind of average. Not much to say about it.
I hope you understand now. I wasn't torturing her with nightmares. I was feeding her what she needed to stay sane.
Can You Hear Me? I do have a little bit to say. It did feel like another filler episode, but there was a lot more depth to it than there was for Praxeus. Overall, I do feel like Can You Hear Me was the king of missed opportunities, but it gave us a little bit, so I can't entirely complain. I really liked that they tackled mental issues like anxiety and stuff in such a creative way. But I do feel like it needed to be developed a little bit more to really hit its mark. I also really liked that they finally had kind of a bit more development for the companions, especially Yaz. I thought that that was really interesting. I just wish that it hadn't happened so late in their stay, because I don't think that all 3 of them will be around for much longer, so it is kind of like a missed opportunity that we had to wait this long to kind of see that part of them. On to the villains of this episode. Like I said, this episode there was a lot of missed opportunity, and I do feel like these villains could have been a lot more interesting and a lot more scary, but what we got was still really interesting. I am gonna have to call out the writers for including that weird finger thing. That was... I don't ever want to see something like that again. But I did love that animated sequence. That was really cool. I love when Doctor Who goes out of the box like that. So as soon as I heard that there was gonna be an animated sequence, I was just smiling from ear to ear, and when it came on, I was like squealing. I was so happy. I thought it was really cool.
That is a lone Cyberman.
On to the Haunting of the Villa Diodati. I really liked the episode, really. I really did. The thing that scares me is Doctor Who has a history with the Cybermen, of really hyping them up and giving them a lot of build-up, and then once they show up, or once the finale hits, they just totally drop the ball. So I am a little anxious going forward into the finale, but I thought that this episode was great nonetheless. Really, my only problem with this episode is that I thought that the historical figures, Mary Shelley, Lord Byron, etc., and even the companions, I really felt like all of them could have done more. It really felt like they were kind of just exploring and not doing anything beyond that. The highlight of this episode was definitely 13's speech. My favorite line of the entire speech was when she turns to the companions and is like, "This team structure is not flat, it's a mountain, and I'm on top." That was crazy to me. I really just appreciated that line and the implications that that has, and the conflict that that explores. The relationships that that explores. Can you tell that I like that line? Like, even if she's making really dumb decisions up on that mountain and ignoring literally everything Jack said not to do, I still appreciated it. I'm gonna film a little bit of a goodbye here, even though this isn't the end of the video, because it is the end of my filming for today, and I'm gonna let Future Ivy take over. Alright, Future Ivy here, here to take over for part 2. Or I guess present Ivy, because I'm filming this right now. Or past Ivy, because you're watching this after I film it, but... I didn't really think of a second intro.
Or not.
All humans will be deleted.
We think. Keep the others safe.
So, Ascension of the Cyberman, Cybermen. Ascension of the Cyberman, I thought was pretty solid. On its own, it's a little confusing and a little boring at some parts, but as setup, it works really well, especially now that I've seen the finale and I know what everything is building up to. The only downside I had to Ascension of the Cybermen is the Cybermen really failed to be scary this time around, and they kind of did the last time they were featured in the finale, and the last time they were featured in the finale before that finale. I did think it was really cool to see shots like all the Cybermen parts in space, and I did really appreciate bringing back some of the old Cybermen designs to really make it feel like a last minute put together army, but like also a scary one, if that makes sense. I thought that was really cool, and I'm glad that they made that decision.
I didn't know any of this. Did you know any of this? Nearly there.
On to the finale, because similar to Fugitive... What? On to the finale, because similar to Fugitive of the Jadoon... Similar to that episode, this is the one I really, really want to talk about. The first thing I want to mention is Sacha Dhawan. His performance. I know I talked about it in the last video because of Spyfall Part 1 and 2, but like, this man knows how to play the master, you guys. He really plays everything so well. Like, he knows when to play the cartoonish side of the master, and he knows when to play the really dark and really evil side. And he just took those two kind of main components and combined them together so well. It was amazing. I loved it. Him and Jodie Whittaker's chemistry is absolutely incredible. They really played the Doctor-Master dynamic so well, and I already did talk about that, so I'm not going to go into detail, but I mean, they took the chemistry and the complex relationship that they explored in Spyfall Part 2, and they just like snowballed it into this amazing episode. Like, I was just sitting there the whole time like, I can't believe this is happening. Now, onto the Timeless Child plot. I did think that the reveal was a little obvious. There was a leak that came out a long time ago saying that she would be the Timeless Child and there would be all the incarnations before Hartnell, but I think even without that leak, I would have been able to connect the dots and decide that, you know, she's the main character, so it's very likely that it was going to be her. But even though it was obvious, I didn't feel like that took away from its, like, coolness, if that makes sense. It certainly introduces a lot more questions, a lot more mystery, and a lot more opportunities for stories later on, which I think it's best when Who does that, when they just introduce something so crazy and it's just like, you know what, we're rolling with it, because this show has always been crazy. This show has always been shocking, ridiculous. It's constantly changing its game. And so yeah, I thought that was really well done. I know it's been kind of a divisive thing among the fandom, but I thought the lone Cyberman's death was just... It was so underwhelming and so sudden, and it just felt so pointless to have them there in the first place. And the Cybermen, the other Cybermen in general, were just not scary at all. And even though the rest of the finale was really good, and the companions really, like, stepped up to the plate and did stuff for once, it just felt like there was too much missing from that. And I really do hope that Doctor Who sticks to the landing on a Cybermen story in the future, because I do love them, and I do think that when they're written well into their full potential, it can really just be good. Also, I absolutely loved learning more about Gallifrey and its history. I've always wanted to do that, but a lot of the lore centered around Gallifrey is only in Big Finish audio stories, which are expensive. The finale was also crazy dark, though. Like, not only do you have the Timeless Child, aka the Doctor, it's implied being killed over and over again for the sake of studying regeneration. That's horrible. And then on top of that, you have all the Time Lords not just dying for like the second time, but every single one of them got converted into a Cyberman. And then you had, like, they were regenerating in those suits, you guys. Like, the implications of that if they were ever harmed, they would simply just regenerate and keep going and keep dying over and over again and just living in that shell for eternity. Overall, this season was a game changer for sure, and it's been very enjoyable to watch throughout. Every performance has been good. The music has been absolutely incredible. Music to my ears, you might say. The stakes were high. The twists were twisty. Like, I couldn't have asked for a better season, and my mind is still whirling. I love this show, and I loved this season, and I've had the best time watching. So, that's it, you guys. Season 12 is done. It's over, which is crazy thinking about. The good thing about Doctor Who hiatus is there's so much Doctor Who out there, so I am not worried about the next 18 months at all. I plan on watching all of classic Doctor Who. I hope to get into some of the audio dramas, and I hope to even read some of the comic books if I have time. So maybe I'll come back more Who knowledgeable. Who knows? Who knows?